What's up everybody, Rob Ferretti here, and before we get to today's video, we have another giveaway with another chance to win a trip on adventure drives going from Napa Valley through Yosemite to Las Vegas. Coming up in 2 weeks, we've got two options for you to enter. You're going to get an entry with every purchase, so you buy a DVD or you buy a poster. They can both be signed, I've got no problem with that. Because of my last thing where I gave you the option of having everything signed and 99% of the people got stuff signed, I'm just going to make everything signed. So you can either get a signed DVD or a signed poster. You do the link in the description, superspeedersmerch.com. That'll get you an entry, and we're only doing this for like 3 days. And I'm going to select somebody to come on the Napa Valley to Vegas Drive and get you a C8 Corvette to drive while you're there. So if that sounds interesting to you, it's September 20th to 24th. We're doing 2 nights in Napa with a coastal drive through the Redwoods and the Pacific Coast Highway the first day, then some wine tasting, lovely dinners in Napa. Second day, we're going to go through Yosemite. We're going to do a hike over in Yosemite Valley, then stay in Mammoth Lakes. Third day, driving down to Vegas with my favorite driving road, pretty much in the United States, which is Benton Crossing, then off to Vegas. So we're going to have a great time. If you'd like to join us, click the link in the description, scoop up one of your posters or one of your DVDs, and who knows, could be seeing you out there in 2 weeks. What's up everybody, Rob Ferretti, and I am standing next to one of my orange Corvettes. Now I've had 3 of them. This is the second one. The first one was the 2020 original C8 Corvette Targa Top. This was the second orange one that I purchased, which is a 2023 C8 convertible, which the top retracts very nicely. And the third one, which doesn't feel like I have it anymore, is my 2023 C8 Z06. And you've seen me make videos comparing this to the Z06 and how similar they look. They drive totally different, which is why I like the Z06 more, because if I have the Z06, I'm never going to drive this, because obviously the Z06 is significantly nicer and performs better, it just doesn't look significantly different. However, when I only have one to look at, I start to get annoyed. And that's where I am now. I've had a lingering problem ever since I did it to myself, right? I said, oh, this car has presented 0 issues in the first 23 or 2,400 miles, like nothing. Like everybody says, like if it's going to break soon. And I was like, we are in the clear. And then that car literally broke half a block later. Like as we drove it out of here, I jinxed myself. What we thought was a transmission issue, turns out that it wasn't a transmission issue. Then we had this weird battery issue that I was told was something to do with the glass protector on the car, but it wasn't that. We had it towed to the dealership, and it was ultimately much worse than anything. All the problems apparently stem from the engine locking up at like 2,600 miles. That sucks. Like properly broken in, like everything was, like it was just the engines, the bearings must have just like seized up, and that's why a car wouldn't start. When it was starting to go bad and the engine was starting to go bad is when we started probably experiencing the transmission issues, because it was probably receiving like, why is it trying so hard to do something? It wasn't operating as freely as it should. And ultimately, yeah, when I got that call, I'm like, oh, the engine is locked up. And the problem is it's taken so long to find this out. The dealership needed to get a special tool just to put it in reverse, to get it into the shop, to even try to crank the motor. This is after they replaced the sensor that was giving a bad code that it was not starting because of the sensor. We had to do this whole process. And since it's the Z06 and they're so new and they got to go through like a process to do it, this is dragged out forever. And I've lost the entire summer worth of use on the newest, hottest Corvette that they make. And that's a bummer. So good news is the new engine has arrived at the dealership. They are already installing it, and that took some time, considerable time. It was at the dealership for at least like 6 weeks. They got approval for the engine after about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's been a couple of weeks waiting for the engine because it's not a common replacement. So we had to wait a couple of weeks for the engine, and now the engine arrived a couple of days ago, and it should be good. We should have the new engine in it And I'm hoping that solves the transmission issues. I'm hoping, because every time it's like, we think it's this, it's ultimately the engine. There's no denying that the engine was locked up. But you think that that would solve all the other ancillary problems it was having. Another problem I have to do is I have to break this car in again, so I have to do another 500 miles of not crazy driving on it. So I'm now adding another 500 miles to my 2,500 mile car, which are obviously like not like, oh, I'm gonna go have a great time with the car. No, you're just like varying the RPM ranges, driving locally, not taking the RPMs too high just to break the engine in, hoping that this one is also good. Law of averages, I have to assume that it is, and I'm not gonna have a second bad engine, but I jinxed myself the last time. It's a weird situation, right? Like the car's been down so long, it totally qualifies as a lemon. But you wouldn't lemon law a car because they would just give you your money back, and it's worth significantly more than we paid for it. So it's like a rock and a hard place. So now I got to go to GM and be like, look, what can you do for me? I've been deprived use of my vehicle all summer, and this is why I bought it. Like, it's to drive it in the summer, to utilize in the summer, to get use out of it when the weather is nice, not give it back to me and I'll be able to park it all winter again. So we'll see. I should have it back by about September 14th or 15th. So I've got a list of people being like, I'd love to drive it. I'd love to drive it. I'm like, I'll put your name on a list. And so I have a list of people that are already queued up, anticipating the return. A lot of people, believe it or not, want to buy one. And they're like, look, I want to buy one. I have a C8, but before I buy one, I want to try it and make sure it's worth it. I tell them the same thing. I'll save you the money. It is worth it. It looks very similar to your C8, and it costs almost double, but it is a worthwhile driving experience. You will not regret going from a C8 to a Z06. The same reason earlier in the video I said I would keep this car and look at it versus not driving the Z06. I would always select the keys to the Z06 prior to the C8. And in doing so, that means the C8 Z06 is what the C8 platform is capable of, and it's a very enjoyable driving experience. So this is before the ZR1. I'm not into the E-Ray. I'm sure the E-Ray performance is going to be good, and it's got the electric thing going on. I'm not an electric car guy. As far as pure fun driving experiences, a C8 Z06 is a super fun, best Corvette they've made. Mine just turned out not to be as reliable as I initially thought. And luckily, that's getting finally resolved after 2.5 or 3 months of who the hell knows. So bummer that it took this long, but it'll be good to get the thing back up on the road. When I get it next week, I will take you along and we'll break it in and we'll hopefully be okay from there on out. Rob Ferretti, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to find out more as to what happens with this process. And hopefully I didn't jinx myself this time and everything is good. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.